Thank you for watching. Today we're sitting here with Dr. Quezada, the superintendent for the Yonkers Public School. Edwin Quezada, Dr. Edwin Quezada.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking the time. I know that you're extremely busy,
Absolutely.
but somehow you found 12 minutes or 45 minutes.
You tend to be a good multiplier.
That's it. Well, Superintendent, we have some issues in Yonkers. Actually, issues all over the country. Mm-hmm. But our interview is about Yonkers.
Sure.
With the coronavirus. There is a problem. Okay. Now, is this problem real, or are we exaggerating the problem?
You know, when it comes to the safety and well-being of all of our staff and students, every issue that is presented to us that may impact them is real, it's important, it must be considered, it must be evaluated. So absolutely, this to us is considered to be a real issue.
So doctor, it's a real issue. What is being done?
So what are we doing? Number one is we have engaged in a high level of preparedness. What does that mean? It begins by keeping everyone informed. It continues by educating ourselves so that we understand and we have full knowledge of what it is that we need to communicate to the individuals that we are responsible for. It continues by putting a team together of individuals that can help address our families' concerns and our staff concerns. So communication, our health department, our instructional team, our business team, we are all working together to devise a communications plan, a business continuity plan, an instructional continuity plan, a safety plan, a facilities plan. Infrastructure technology is something that we're constantly thinking.
We only have a few minutes, so I have to insert as many questions as I possibly can.
Of course.
But what are we doing? Because the information, we already got that.
Sure.
We know what's going on. We talk about it every single day on TV.
Sure.
Mayor Spano canceled a few activities for today and probably for tomorrow because it's not advisable to have groups of people today. Now, in schools, we have group of people. There is a problem in Mount Vernon, 2 cases confirmed today. That is people that go from Mount Vernon to Yonkers and to the public schools. Why haven't the schools been closed yet in Yonkers?
Well, you know, number one, you know, as when you ask me what are we doing, number one, we are cleaning our schools every single day.
Okay.
We are disinfecting our schools every single day. We have protocols in place to keep our schools clean. Number two, we don't have any cases of coronavirus in our schools.
But we don't need cases, doctor. We all know that the infection happens long before we see the signs of infection.
Absolutely, but we do not need to close schools without consulting with the Department of Health. And we are in constant communication with the Department of Health. Every case that is presented to us is automatically a process, a protocol is immediately followed. So immediately we either call the Westchester County Department of Health, and then we call the New York State Department of Health. And all decisions related to the potential closing of school are based on the recommendations of the Department of Health.
So you know that the parents are beginning to panic because there might be infections going on and people are just not aware.
Well, I wouldn't agree with you that my parents have begun to panic because
well, I talk to them. Do you talk to them?
Every day.
Okay.
Every day. I mean, we have phone calls that we receive in my office. We have phone calls that we receive on the instructional area. We have phone calls that our principals receive as well. But panic is not the word that I will describe.
So what would you describe, sir?
Concern.
Concern.
And I'm concerned. You should be concerned.
Yeah.
Our parents should be concerned. Our children should be concerned. We are in the business of educating everyone about how do we avoid this virus from impacting our schools in such a way that it will result in us closing our school. Your viewers, yourself, our citizens must understand that in an urban community, the schools, they serve as the hub for providing a lot of services to our children. So as you well know, many of our students depend on breakfast and lunch from our school. And I'm always very concerned about the fact if I close school, who will be feeding my kids? And that's extremely important. Also, we have services that need to be provided to students with special needs. If we close our schools, how will those services be provided? So certainly, absolutely, 100%, the health and well-being of the entire community will determine our next steps in collaboration with the Department of Health. However, we are not just going to close schools when we have services that we need to provide when we do not have a case related to coronavirus in our school. Understand, we have been studying and reporting at least 7 or 8 cases of potential exposure, because they are being reported to us. Every time those potential exposure cases are reported to us, we engage in deep analysis with our health department, and then we call the Department of Health, and together the decision is made as to what the next steps will be.
Well, the point of this interview was exactly to explain to the parents that are out there, some might be panicking, some might not be panicking, some might be extra nervous about it, but they want to hear from the superintendent that you are taking the necessary measurements and analyzing the situation to close if it's recommended, or to take whatever action it's necessary and recommended to your schools. Correct?
Of course, and understand that we will always think of our students and staff safety first. But how do we do this? Yesterday I was in 2 conference calls with the commissioner and the chancellor. At 10:30 today, I was in a conference call with all superintendents, the Department of Health, and the governor's office. And we are collaborating and we are working together. And what's important is that all decisions will be made based on what's best for our kids and our staff.
Thank you, sir. Now, since I don't have many opportunities to talk to you person to person,
Let's make more time.
I'm going to call Mr. Jefferson, and maybe we should have once a month or once. I'm ready for it. Now, I need to ask you about the charter schools.
Sure.
Your opinion on charter schools is important. Parents want to know what you think about it, how you feel about it, and how does that impact Yonkers.
So I'll tell you exactly how I feel about this. I am a 30-year public school educator. The public schools in Yonkers are the best schools in any urban community in Yonkers. I want all of my students to be educated in the public schools. However, I certainly understand that choice is an important concept for our parents. And if parents want to have a choice to go to a charter school, and the charter school is available, by all means. However, we are the one who are educating 27,000 students. We are the one that have a graduation rate of 88%. We are the one that have phenomenal opportunities for our young people. I want the charter school to be successful as well, because ultimately it's about Yonkers children.
It comes down to Yonkers. In the last 10 years, sir, how many schools have been built in Yonkers? Because I can compare to the last 3 years. For the charter schools, they built 3. And I know it's...
In Yonkers, they built 3?
Well, they build in 3. That is the one on Warburton, that is the one by Lockwood, and they're building another one. Okay? It's about 3 schools they're building, or they're working on building the 3rd school. It's becoming popular. People are choosing to go. And that's not knocking down your school, because they're all necessary. But shouldn't the parent have the option of choosing where I want to send my school to? Not that you block that, I'm just asking your opinion on it.
So I'm going to say it once again. I am a 30-year public school educator. The majority of the young people who are performing at tremendous level in this city, they come from the Yonkers public schools. So I am always going to proceed by protecting the integrity of our Yonkers public schools and letting our parents know that it is in this district where we offer over 20 different choices for our students.
There is no doubt, but public schools been in Yonkers forever. Charter schools been in Yonkers for a few years. So maybe if we have this conversation 15 or 20 years from now, maybe the results would be a little different.
Perhaps. But you must understand that rather than analyzing the results of charter schools in Yonkers, I think we should analyze the results of charter school in Buffalo,
You have a
in
good point.
Syracuse, and Rochester, and see how the proliferation of charter schools have resulted in success in Yonkers. Listen, it's about providing opportunities for our young people. And if we have a charter school here that is providing opportunities, then we are certainly going to collaborate and work with them.
Now, Dr. Quezada, we all know that Yonkers is growing. It's expanding drastically. If you look across, your building, you see all these new buildings. Expansion is coming to Yonkers.
Sure.
It's increasing.
That's great.
It's great. It's increasing tremendously. But not the school systems. We still have the same schools. We still have the same classrooms. The same amount of students fit in a classroom. Maybe we're packing them up. How do you anticipate we will handle the expansion in Yonkers?
So, working collaboratively with the mayor and the city council and the trustees, we are working on multiple capital projects. So you know that we are working on an expansion over at Khalil Gibran. You know that we are working on an expansion over at School 30. We just finished an expansion over at Hostels. We are almost there where the property over at St. Denis will be purchased. We will be creating seats in our district for the incredible community that is coming in. As of now, enrollment is pretty stable, but I do agree with you that because of the success of the Yonkers Public Schools, more and more families are moving our ways, and it
That
becomes
is true.
and it becomes our responsibility to have the space for our children, and I can guarantee to you that we're going to create those spaces.
I'm sure. Now, Dr. Quezada, how is your fight? I don't know if it's a good word. In Albany, school in Yonkers, we need funds. We need resources.
So I don't call it a fight. I
Call it
call it
whatever you want. We need the funds here.
I call it a courageous conversation.
Okay. Are you
and-
encouraging them to give us
No,
more money?
courageous, not encouragement, a courageous conversation. I am not encouraging them, I am demanding
Okay.
that more funding comes our way.
Are they comply?
Our students deserve it, our community deserves it. We need to provide additional funding to the Yonkers Public Schools, and what I would ask is invite our parents, our community-based organizations, our elected officials, and everyone in this community to continue to be part of this courageous conversation. Our PTA, our bargaining units, they have been phenomenal at doing this work. Our mayor, our city council, and all of us, we have worked collaboratively to create opportunities for them to provide more funding to our school. So I do want the video lottery terminal money to be increased. I want state to fully fund pre-K. I want the state to fully fund health services, and I want bullet aid to be a permanent appropriation for the Yonkers Public Schools. If those four things will take place, significant recurrent revenue will be coming into Yonkers, and the structural issues that we have dealt with financially will become a reality for us. What is most important to us, as we continue to engage in this courageous conversation, is that it is all about fixing the Foundation Aid formula. And we have got to do that on behalf of Yonkers. Our leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousin, is committed to this. Our education chair, Senator Shelley Mayer, is committed to doing this, as well as our two assembly persons, Dr. Nada Sage and Mr. Gary Pretlow. Our responsibility is to provide encouragement to them, to provide support to them, and to continue to let them know that if we all believe in equity, Yonkers needs its fair share.
So we all know the wants that we need, the wants that we want for Yonkers, but is Albany listening?
I have to tell you, I've been as a superintendent for 5 years, and Albany has always worked to support the Yonkers Public Schools. However, we are not there yet in terms of the funding that we need.
on that note, we conclude this interview. Thank you, Dr. Quezada, for
My
taking
pleasure.
the time. I think I took a little bit more than.
It's fine. It's
But
fine.
thank you for taking the time to explain,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully the parents will listen and they will get informed and make a decision based on informed.
Of course. That's what we
Content.
want, sir. That's what we want.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Stay tuned.
Until next time.